So in the last film, I asked folks if you would like me to go over the hydraulic setup in stringing hoses and, putting on the connections and whatnot. And there was quite a few people that said yes, although I have done this video previously in a excavator build that I did. I was surprised to see that quite a few folks still had interest. Now, the majority of people actually did not have an interest. So I'm going to try to make this a little bit more quick and simple for you guys, even though something like this looks very intimidating. And I forgot to say, welcome back. If you're just joining me, welcome to a dual build video that I've been doing. I've been working on two skid steers at the same time. If you have come back, I am just about to show you guys something pretty cool. I actually spent about 6 hours today trying to figure out an exciting or easy way to show you guys something that looks fairly intimidating. And although the book gives some great illustrations into some of that stuff, they are missing some key information that I think a builder that's looking for some help would definitely like me to point out. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this book today and really kind of work on how this whole system works, okay? So let's see here. You can see the hydraulic rams for the lifting arms are installed. I don't have any electronics hooked up. I don't have any hydraulic fluid in here yet. This is just simply stringing hoses and cables. So this is the brushless motor for the pump. This is the pump right here. The pump has an in and an out hose. I'm not sure which one's which yet because I haven't tested it. Up above here, this is the hydraulic block. Now each one of these, a set of 4 screws with the 2 holes in the middle, is a different servo that opens and closes basically in and out valve, an in and out valve that allows fluid to go in and out of the hoses. So channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, or whatever I set it up as, probably 5, 6, and 7. That's going to help open up the valves, lift the arms, which is basically letting fluid go into the arms and then into the rams up top if I wanted it here, right? And then into the bucket. So fairly straightforward. I thought if I broke it down and actually built it on the table here for you, you would kind of get an idea of what the heck is going on. So I already pre-built this small distribution block. It was very tedious. A lot of this was very tedious and basically breaks your nails and bruises your fingers because it's going to be very small components that are sharp. You need to get those small graphite gaskets before the banjo pin goes in, and then to cinch it up on the back, there are 2 more of those gaskets. You are going to have to do many of those just for one of these skid steers, let alone doing it for 2. One of the really important things I noticed that's super helpful to know is you don't want any kind of angle in here at all. It makes it better if it's basically straight up and down on the 90, right? Just for placement, as well as these 3. There's 3 distribution blocks. I'm just going to call this number 1, even though this goes in the middle, and I'll show you right here. It goes right there. And then number 2 is going to do the longer hoses that go all the way down the arm. That's going to get mounted into number 1. And then number 3 has to fight with this brass hose right there. That's not a big deal because of the way they designed it. So the banjo pins go in and then you just have them on top. So I can basically just set that right there and mount it up. Okay, now that they're in place, I'm going to go ahead and attach this block in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is undo the hoses from these rams and then just string the line out in the small openings that they have here, and I'll show you in a moment what it looks like. To secure the rams, you're going to need a couple of sets of pins here. So I'll take the A46 and I'll also take A47. A46 is going to go right on the bottom here. This is going to secure the bottom of the ram. This is what I would call the bottom, even though that's the bottom, but in this case it will be at the top. So the top one will take the shorter pin, which is this one right here. Stringing the hose for the top of the ram straight through to the other side, and then pulling it. I might as well just connect it right now. I'll take the other one. Do the same thing, slide it up, and then attach that to the bottom. But again, I'm doing it vertically so that the pins are basically facing each other. And then this way it will help you avoid any kind of kink in the hoses themselves from the elbows here. Perfect. Man, I remember when I first started hydraulics, I was so intimidated. I didn't know where to start. In fact, even when I had my first excavator, I was almost afraid to fiddle around with it just because I didn't want to do something and mess with the mix or something and make it not work. But, you know, just like any RC, you build a relationship with it while you take it apart, while you fix it. And it's a constant learning process. Even me, like, I'm no master builder. I'm just somebody that's had enough experience. Like, I've got at least 30 builds on YouTube of different types of radio control stuff, and it's all the same thing. You just take your time, you try to be as organized as you can, and like they say, one mountain is eaten one bite at a time. Okay, I'll just lift that up. And I'm going to use the small pin on the bottom once everything is lined up. And I'll raise up the arm and then just kind of lift that hydraulic ram out. Beautiful right there. Small pin and then a small bolt to make sure it doesn't pop out. There we go. Other side, same thing. Okay, so here it is, nice and installed. These top ones are going to be for accessories, so I just want this to be off to the side. I did leave a little bit of extra length in this hose. I don't know if that's going to hurt me. On the other one, I did not, and I was wondering about battery placement overall. I've had to order in some very small batteries. I don't know what kind of battery this will take other than a 3-cell. I know that from what I read on the Facebook. But yeah, cool. Extra length in the hose will stop it from kinking and restricting flow. No one likes a kink in their hose, especially when it's restricting flow. Okay, here we go. This is the last distribution block. This is going to be the block for the lifting arm, or pardon me, for the bucket. The bucket on either one of these that will control the up and down motion of this bucket. So that's what we're working on now. And these will actually have to string all the way down here and then kind of wrap in here and go through that opening on this side and then come out to here. Same, it'll have to go out the other side over here. Again, I want to emphasize, just to keep it front of mind, if you use these banjo bolts or flow pins, they have a hole in them, right? That's the whole point of a flow pin, is it has a hole. If you crank on this too much, you will break it right at that point, right? Just go tight, like where you feel it tighten up, and then just like 1/8 or 2/8 of a turn past that. Crazy, just so you don't run out, right? You don't want to break something off in the valve block and then have an issue later on. With the hoses in place, now you just have to identify which one comes off of the valve. So I know that this top one on the outside should be going to the top of this ram right here. And so I know that's the top one, and so I'm going to just clip it just a little bit before that and give myself a little slack and then put the pin in place. Same with the bottom one, it goes underneath right here. So now all of the hoses are installed and hooked up to the rams, except for the accessory, which will be opening and closing the clamshell bucket or 4-in-1 bucket. You just want to make sure to route them properly. You can see here on this side, it's opposite. So on the inside left goes to the outside right, and then opposite, the inside right goes to the outside left. They actually get routed up here and then mounted right up here in a very neat little piece. These actually have a little tiny nipple on the inside. Are we allowed to say that on YouTube anymore? Bring this down here, and this is going to basically be on this side. They are directional. That's going to be like a hookup point for your hydraulics, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. Here's this one over here. These just simply bolt on with just the usual bolts that we've been using throughout the build. So what we'll do is we're going to string the third line up on the inside of the two arms. So we'll take this one right here, feed it up, and then, I know you guys can't see it. This is why I did a lot of this on my own. There we go. That kind of comes up and around, and it's going to string through, and I'm going to put it on the back of a special fitting. Let me see, where is it here? There they are. Good. This is actually right here, the M3As. Ta-da! Once both of these are installed, top cable, what you're going to do is you're going to take some cables and make yourself 2 more hoses. These are the last ones we're going to need, but these aren't the usual fittings. These are actually much smaller fittings. They're going to be the same fittings that I used on the bucket themselves. So a smaller diameter tube and a smaller fitting, and screw there, and then 1 and 1. That is what I mean by 1 by 1. Okay, we'll put the coupler forward, and then I'm just going to stick the bucket onto the coupler. Beautiful. Screw this into there. And there you have it. That is how I install hydraulic cables onto the LESU or LESU LT5 and the LT5H. It's probably going to be one of my lowest viewed videos I've ever done, just because it's only hydraulics. But I know that it's helpful for people out there. What's helpful for me is if you guys could comment, of course, let me know what you think of the project so far. Maybe drop me a like click if you enjoyed the work I did. If maybe you're working on your RCs at the same time I'm doing this whole video. Did this help you guys understand how hydraulics work a little bit more? I hope it has, guys. Thanks for joining me today. I know it looks like we haven't done anything at all, but indeed we have done so much. See you guys.